Yes, it's always difficult, of course, especially once you play here at away at Luton. It's always easier, especially as a away team, to go in lead. The opponent has to open a bit more, and then we can also use our strength in counter attacks. Of course, it always helps instead of the other team can concentrate on being rock solid, being compact and good in defending, and you have to defend some counter attacks. Of course, it's a problem. Yes, would prefer also to be in lead at some moment again in a away game would make our life a bit easier. But yeah, sometimes you can have wishes and dreams, but they not all happen in the crunch time period of a season. For that, you have to adapt to the reality and dig in and grind out. And this was a hard fought point today.
There weren't many chances for either side, to be fair, but Man of Solomon, do you feel that was the moment that it all slipped away today in terms of winning the game?
All slipped away. I'm not sure. So first of all, I have to say we knew that it would always be a difficult game today, because let's be honest, Luton has played Premier League last season, not the worst point tally, I have to say. Many of the players have played Premier League last season. Of course, they are underperforming in terms of where they want to be in the Championship, but you got the feeling in the recent weeks they have realized what they have to do to stick together, to fight in order to survive also in this league. They on the up, had impressive results, impressive performances, especially in the home games. Have dominated more or less many games, and it's due to their style always a difficult game here, because the pitch, let's say, it's not the easiest one. There is no stadium where the ball is so little in game. The net play time is the smallest in the whole Championship, because each every throw in lasts 3 minutes and each every corner lasts 3 minutes. The ball is more or less never in play, so it's difficult anyhow to be here really free flowing. And the first thing that you have to do is more or less to dig in, to be ready for the physicality, for the battles. That's what we were from the first moment. Anyhow, what was a bit annoying was, of course, that we gave 2 times unnecessary the ball away for their only counter attack more or less in the game, and they used it in this moment, went in lead, and was always difficult afterwards. I liked the reaction of my lads, because we didn't get nervous, we stayed cool, equalized with a great finish from Daniel James, and then of course, you have to make sure that you don't allow any more chances. We didn't do this, so we handled all the long throw-ins, all their physicality, all the long balls, all the wide area free kicks, crosses really, really well. There was perhaps one half chance in the second half, and Karl Darlow was there with a decent save, but he should also make the save in this moment. Apart from this, we didn't allow them anything. Yes, and of course, it's then also like when they don't take much risk and it's so difficult to create, you have to be a bit patient, and we have created, especially also in the second half, then some good moments. Patrick had 2 or 3 half chances, I would say. Isaac Schmidt was one time not too far away. Yes, and then of course, more or less a golden chance. Anyhow, this should be in such a game more or less a goal if you want to win it, and if you don't use such a chance, then you have to live just with 1 point. Yes, that's right.
When you made the substitutions toward the end, Schmidt and Byron came on, and Brendan came on. Pascal Strout, how much was that a disruption for you, and why didn't you choose, say, Ramazani for more of an attacking threat, maybe?
Yes, first of all, it was also compliments to the lads, because we had a few sucker punches. So Matteo is ill, Joe Roswell out, not available with a calf injury yesterday in training. Then during the game, also Pascal, our leader, had to go out for the last minutes. Also not that easy, because Max Wilber is also just since 1 week in training, and I'm happy how he handled all this difficulties, adversity against us. Obviously, then in the last minutes, I wanted also Sam Byram with his strengths in set pieces on the pitch. Also, Jane Bogle had a yellow card, didn't want to over risk it, and I have to say, in the last weeks, especially Isaac Schmidt looked really, really sharp in training. I also liked his appearances in the cup games, for example, and he has also strength in driving forward. He has played more or less the first years of his career always as a winger, and we had more or less the idea that if he can cut over his strong right foot inside, then he can create a chance. He was so close also after Patrick's pass, really to make this really happen. And we wanted then also a player on the pitch who is a bit more reliable and solid in the duels. Yeah, to be honest, I was not really 100% happy with all the last performances in terms of maturity on the pitch in the duels. Sometimes of Largy, and he has to step up a little bit if he wants to have more game time. I was pleased was I've seen on the training ground and also in the cup games from Isaac, and for that the feeling was momentum is a bit on his side, and sadly whatever 5 inches were missing, that he then would be there with a golden chance.
Going forward, quick turnaround to Monday at Middlesbrough. Pascal Strout and Joe Rothwell have been both very important for you this season. How confident are you that either of them will be ready for that game?
Yeah, with Joe Roswell, we had already a scan as a calf injury. He will be out at least. What we expect is more or less for the next 3 weeks. Means he will probably miss the next 5 games. Definitely the next 4 games, but probably it will be the next 5 games, or with including the game today. Sorry, more like the upcoming 4 games. We will see. Of course, we try everything to bring him back as quick as possible on the pitch, but it's a calf injury. We had this scan already. Not confident at all, so he will definitely miss this week. Yes, with Pascal right now, not sure. So the striker hit on his foot, and it got more and more painful the longer it went on, and he could hardly step on this foot. We have to assess him right now. It's a bit too early to judge. Of course, I hope to have him available because he was, I think, top class today in many situations. We have to wait a little bit.
And just finally for me, mathematically, it's just out of your hands at the moment, Daniel. This is an unusual situation for you. Does that bother you?
Yes, I think, but just if Sheffield wins this afternoon, because they play against each other, it's still in our hands. But to be honest, no, at the moment it's not important because we can't influence what happens on other pitches. Yeah, if it's more or less like the other team is there with whatever 6, 7 wins in a row, then you just can say well done, well performed. You just have to concentrate on yourself, and this is important. So for me, of course, I would have preferred 3 points today. If Mano puts a chance away, of course, would have made our life easier. But I have to judge also what I see. And for me, I liked our spirit today, our togetherness, that we also overcame this adversity. And it's definitely 1 point gained. And then never underestimate, especially during this times, a point on the road. Also a point against a side who is fighting with a knife between the teeth against relegation. Then especially a side who's normally playing for promotion to the Premier League back, because they have normally other targets for this and other goals for this season. So once they find the way back to their best, anyhow, it's so difficult. And for me, it was one of the toughest game in the run in right now. We have another tough away game right now in Middlesbrough. We know this week, so especially the first 2 away games are especially very tough. There is no doubt about this, but then you have to dig in and grind something out. And of course, you would prefer to finish whatever with 7 wins in a row. But it's also my lessons that I have learned the first 2 times I won this league. There was also can imagine away draws at Wigan, and everyone was down more or less. And in the end, it turned out to be or even point at home anyhow. So against Sheffield Wednesday, by doing this, we won in the end the league anyhow. And don't underestimate the point. It's definitely a good point for us. So I'm happy how we handled all the situations today, and it's definitely a point gained.
Thank you.
Graham.
Daniel Manor is struggling a little bit for end product.
Yes.
We've seen that he can be the best player in this league. If he's not doing it, what's the answer?
Then Daniel James or Joel Pirot or Patrick Bamford today or Brendan Aronson. We have shared the goals over the whole season. And yes, of course, it's more like the last games. He was a bit dry in terms of end products anyhow. But over the course of 46 game days, you will always have some dry spells. This is why, all the time. So we have used more or less many of our offensive players. And then, for example, right now, also like Willy was a bit more on the up. Got today not. Sadly, couldn't use the situation today totally in his favor. You have to say, but we have many players who can score goals. So it's not like we are a team who is always just relying on one player. Yeah, of course, it's also like the answer for him to work even harder on the training pitch to get the goals back. I was pretty pleased with his training week, I have to say, and he has stepped up in these terms. Yeah, he knows that he normally should score such a goal, but overall, I think this is also not the problem. We have scored the most goals in this league. If we keep scoring goals like we had in this 40 games, we will end up with whatever 90 goals, and you can't complain too much about this. I didn't like that we conceded 2 goals in the games before. That was a bit the problem today. Yes, the goal today was of course a bit unlucky, but and you can say unnecessary. But yeah, small details always are crucial. And sadly we lost the ball in the opponent's box, and then after we won the ball back, totally unnecessary, we lost the ball again and allowed them to have this one counter-attack. I think a bit more responsibility in this situations is crucial, because once you are not back and chase the game and there's more space for all offensive players like Daniel James, like Manu, it's also easier for them to make things happen. So it's not an easy answer. There are a few answers and solutions that you have to find. Sadly, we just found one answer today with one goal. Normally should have won this game 2-1.
You talked about the goal there and losing the ball. Is it concerning to you that Luton seemed to have players crashing the box, and you were outnumbered at the back there when the cross came in? I think Farke had 2 men to deal with.
Yes, but that's when you play in the opponent's half and you lose unnecessarily the ball on the opponent's box, allow a counter-attack, then you win the ball back. And we had a 4-against-1 overload, easy pass back, would have made it. We underestimated the situation. We lost the ball, and there's always emergency case, because, of course, against 2 strikers, I want my 2 centre-backs in the centre. But, in this situation, is more or less like emergency case. Joe Roden more or less has to move out. One centre-back, who is normally in the centre, is in the wide position. Pascal perhaps overshifted a little bit too much on the first post. Junior saw this, adapted a bit, shifted then also a bit too much to the first post, because for him it was a decision to make, and one death you have to die. Either you leave normally not his man in the center alone, he shifted too far in the center, but of course it was then always like on the other side is more or less like the player is then more alone, because we were just on the opponent's box. Yes, and they used it, and with a perfect cross and to put it in. I think the biggest mistake was before to lose the ball in the opponent's box, and especially to lose the ball that after our initial reaction to win back in counter pressing was quite impressive. So this is why I always speak about, sometimes we are searching for a big mistake, and for example, we had said you speak about the goalkeeper mistake in one of the last games, that you can point the finger on this, but sometimes also like a small detail makes a big difference, and this detail was today, especially the loss of the ball, that was completely unnecessary.
Carl was the big decision today. How did you think he did in goal?
Solid. To be honest, he was not involved in too many scenes, but what I liked is more or less his experience and also his body language. He calmed everyone down. I think he was not even in the crosses and throw-ins, he was not involved so much, but 1 or 2 crosses he looked really reliable, and had one save to make in the second half. That, of course, a player of his caliber should do the save, but he was concentrated. I think this game is also important for his confidence, and I was quite pleased with him, yes.
Ao and his role in the goal today, a role in the goal last week. Where is he at the moment? Because he's had such an amazing season. He's set the bar so high, but he just seems to be off it the last couple of games.
I wouldn't say too much in possession. He still plays good passes, and also there in the duels. It's just like in a few decisive moments, he was not there with the perfect decision. Last game when he gave unnecessary the corner kick away, or he lost then the 1-against-1 battle before the second goal today. Of course, normally it's a perfect scene for him, because he's so aware. He has so many good counter-pressing scenes when he wins the ball back, and then the whole stadium is buzzing. Today he underestimated the situation a little bit. It's also a bit tough to explain. Of course, we can come with 46 game days. He's not used to it. On the other hand, in the first 10 or 15 games, he was not so much involved. So I don't have the feeling that he's tired. It feels like for him, it's perhaps even a bit patchy period of the season where, sadly he has to go through it. Of course, we would have liked him to go and play a completely immaculate season, then everything would be easier. But it's football. There are no robots. They are just human beings. And sadly he was involved in a few scenes where he could have done better. Yes, we have to watch out right now how quick he can recover. But he will be an important player further on in the run in. Yes, he has my trust. There is no doubt, especially once Joe Roswell is right now not available, we need RO, and hopefully he returns back. I wouldn't say back to his best shape, because football-wise he looks good, but also like that he's then also good, perhaps even also a bit lucky in the decisive moments. This is what we definitely need for the upcoming 6 games.
Nice.
Daniel, how do you think Willy did at number 10 today?
Yes, overall, we got the feeling today is the day to bring him into this role. First of all, you know, my attitude that the number 10 has to invest normally a lot in the pressing and also defensive work. Today, Luton doesn't use their midfield that much to play, because they always overplayed with long balls. And the ball, like I mentioned, is netto time, not that much in play. So we could afford today a player who runs perhaps a bit less against the ball, like Brendan Aronson. Also behind him we had then, perhaps not Joe Roswell, who runs our game, but of course it's not a natural defender. We had today a bit more solid pair with Eason and RO, normally more solid pair behind him to protect him a bit more. So for that was the reason why we gave him the nod. Was a difficult game for him, but for all the offensive players, of course, he was not shining that much like in the last game when he came from the bench. So for that, I always speak about don't overinterpret too much when a player is there with a good cameo from the bench. Not that I want to criticize Willy, but in the recent weeks it was also sometimes important that we have a player of his caliber, that we could react more or less with this momentum. Yes, today I would say it was just a solid start, but also like once you're the first time back in the starting lineup, I also don't expect then that in such a difficult away game he runs the whole game for us, and you have to protect him also a little bit and don't have to be overcritical. He had to wait pretty long also for the chance in the starting lineup. Perhaps he would have started even before without this injury. Anyhow, today he wasn't able to shine that much, but no criticism. So he invested a lot today, and I think he will also show in the upcoming weeks that he can play much better than he did today.
Yeah, and you said you're 100% convinced that this team will play in the Premier League next season. How convinced are you that you can still finish in the top 2?
No, I mentioned this before. It's a tight race, and you can't guarantee that you finish in the top 2. For that, the race is too tight. There are 4 teams with chances to finish in the top 2. Perhaps Sunderland, you could say, with outsider chance, they would need a perfect one in, but there is still a chance. But the other teams, also like Burnley and Sheffield United, both teams played in the Premier League, have top coaches, have top players. You need a bit of luck in terms of injuries for that. I think no of this team can guarantee right now that you will finish in the top 2. I still feel we have a great chance, because I see what we're doing. I see the reaction of my lads. I see that we dig in. I see also the consistency in our play. Last 24 games, we've just lost 1 game. Really, really unlucky. So it's really hard to beat us. Yes, with a few less draws in the last weeks, it would have been a better situation. Of course, what is missing, perhaps even a bit the 2 points from the last home game. But you can't look back too much in this league. You have to prepare always for the upcoming game, and this is what we're doing. So my feeling is we still have a great chance to finish in the top 2, but nevertheless I'm 100% convinced that with this group and also this mindset of the players, anyhow, we have all chances to celebrate, and I'm 100% convinced that we have something to celebrate come next May. Of course, rather early in May, I would prefer this, but if not, then also end of May. I'm 100% sure that this team will play in the Premier League next season.
It's true.
Daniel, we know it's your instinct when good players are having dry patches to be patient with them. When there's only 6 games left and the stakes are so high, does that change the equation in any way into how patient you can be?
Yes, it's a bit like you don't have to take too much intention of man management, the spirit in the game, because right now it's everyone knows, okay, we are in the next 4 weeks together, it's just about performance, is a crunch time period, and you have to deliver. That's quite short, so it's not like you have the time to wait that the player comes more or less back into his rhythm. So you are always a bit more ruthless, perhaps, when it comes down to the last games, because you also want players on the pitch who have a good momentum. Yeah, that's also a bit one of the reasons I spoke about the change on the goalkeeper position. So I want then players who are also in good spirits and with good nerves in the crunch time period on the pitch, and for that's quite important, because yes, in the last final games you need also good nerves and maturity, and that you don't drop under pressure, yeah, because otherwise you can't play for Leeds United. This is the heaviest shirt in this league. You know how emotional everyone is within and around the club. Anyhow, if you then drop under pressure because everyone gets a bit nervous anyhow, then it's difficult. And in this moment, you have to rely a bit more like on the mature player and also the players who are performing pretty well. This is where I still will always back my players, also when they have a bit patchier period in the last period of the season. But it's always you are a bit more ruthless in your decision making. Yes.
Does that make it even more important that you get Pascal back on the field quicker as one of your leaders, one of your more mature players as well?
100% yes.
Adam.
I know you said it's 1 point game, but given the run, 1 win in 6, and given that Burnley have made up, I think, 9 points since you beat Sheffield United, do you not feel that pressure? I mean, not just mentally, but how do you actually build up the players to improve from this? Because the whole prospect of the playoffs is something that the fans are dreading.
Yes, but I'm not fearful and I'm not nervous. I just can give you an honest answer. So I know that this is a very, very emotional club. And why do you think it was so difficult in the last 25 years to promote to the Premier League? Especially, just one promotion to the Premier League, and just when the supporters were not allowed to be in the stadium. Yes, we all play for and work for a very, very emotional club anyhow. But if you allow them to feel sorry for yourself, if you allow them to underestimate a point, and you see each and every point on the road more or less like as a mistake, as a loss, and you have to lose your confidence, and you have to feel sorry for yourself, and you have to apologize. This is why it's so difficult to keep the nerves anyhow. But if you want to win something, you have to keep strong nerves and don't underestimate the point. This is really my true believing. And there is no doubt right now to go there with hanging shoulders in the dressing room after a draw, or just because the outside world is disappointed. I would also prefer to be 5 points clear, to have won the last game, that Mano scores a goal, we have more or less 4 points more, and everyone is more or less feeling a bit more sure. But sometimes you can't choose anyhow, and I think this club has signed me also to make sure, okay, then there has to be if you're on the helmet, more or less like, you have to stay strong also in this moments, and you don't have to be like a flag in the wind and get nervous when you can't handle the heat. If you can't handle the heat, sorry, but then you shouldn't work for Leeds United, because this is one of the heatest club in this country. And again, I didn't expect a 46 game easy ride to win the title, or to finish in the top 2 with 10 points clear. We had great periods. Yeah, right now we have still a period where we gain then sometimes points. We find it difficult at the moment anyhow, because we have conceded a few too many goals in the last game. So it's not like you press a button, then it's free flowing, you win 7-0 again. It's more like to reduce the chances for the opponent. This is what we have done today. They had more or less just 1.5 chances. Yeah, if this is still enough to score 1 goal, next game we have to make sure that we use them even more, and we have to keep going. But again, I want to win points also in the next game. There is no doubt about this. But for me, it's also like this 2 games, away Luton, away Middlesbrough. These are the toughest games that I don't expect. Okay, we win these games easily, and then it's more or less a walk in the park, the run in, more or less like. You have to dig in, you have to fight for points. The rule that you can drop points with minus points, this has changed 25 years ago. So you just can gain points right now, and even 1 point is a gain point. And this, again, I spoke about this before. Also, like, I had the same experience in Norwich when we won the title. Yeah, we were away draw at Wigan, and everyone was suffering and sulking. And then it turned out away a home draw in a home game with a late goal against Sheffield Wednesday. Although they were not in the perfect position, everyone was like nervous, not as nervous as in Leeds, because in Leeds everyone is panicking straight away when there's a draw, but also nervous and it's not enough. No, a point is pretty valuable. You will never win all 46 games, and you have perfect periods like we had in February. Sometimes it's a bit more difficult, then you have to dig in, then you have to make sure that you don't lose games, that you win points, and then win the momentum back in, and then hopefully a good momentum also with a run in, and then we'll see the outcome. It's football. If you can't handle that, it could be also the wrong end of the cake, or the cake is a wrong picture, more or less like of the challenge. If you don't accept this, then don't take part. Then just do things where you are safe to win. Then I always have to play against my future grandchilds anyhow, and then I can play football games anyhow. No, it's a challenge anyhow. It will never be easy. And if you think you promote easily with Leeds United, sorry, but then you're completely in the wrong club, mate, because it never has happened in the past. It's also not an easy run in. I'm happy with this point. Would be happier with 3 points. I agree in this terms, but I'm not nervous at all. I can't speak for if everyone else wants to be nervous and wants to think, no, we need to win this game easily or whatever. No problem. But you ask me, you want my opinion, and for me, it's enjoy. It's a good point.
Justin, last one.
Daniel, obviously you made the change in goalkeeper you announced on Thursday. How has Ilya Melia been the last couple of days and today around the squad?
Good. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken him in the squad. I would have given him more or less a weekend off and say, come on, suffer a little bit and then fresh start next week. But he responded straight away after 1 day of suffering, of course, in a pretty good way. He assisted today, also like with Carl pretty well, and it was good around the group. I was happy with his reaction.
Of course, you brought on Patrick Bamford. How important do you feel he's going to be, and do you think he's going to have a big impact in the final matches in the running?
You know, my attitude that I think if we would have had Patrick Bamford available last season, we would play already this season in the Premier League. We didn't have him available. Pascal Struijk, by the way, also not for the whole last half of the season. This was also crucial for last season. For him, it just important his fitness level. Yeah, sadly, he has a fully interrupted season so far. He was out more or less since the beginning of January. I have to say, the last 3 weeks already, he has trained really well. He would have been in the squad today even without the illness of Matteo Joseph, because you can see on the training pitch he has definitely something to offer, and to have an experienced player and also a confident player like Patrick. Patrick is always confident. Is always important also like for the whole group, and I'm happy to have him available. I can't guarantee right now that he will have an important role to play, but the gut feeling is if he stays fit and if he stays without injury, then he definitely has something to show. Yes, even show glimpses of this even today. And I'm happy that we have a different situation in comparison to the last season with Patrick. Yes.